Game week 2 is over, and this is how my team performed this week. Let's look at what individual players did, any changes that I want to make going into game week 3, and do I regret any decisions? So, we start off with Areola in goal, 6 points. Not a bad shout for me. I have him and Henderson, so I made the right choice there. At the back, Ezri Konsa, 1 point. There was no world where I was going to play fast over him. I didn't have faith in us keeping a clean sheet, and that we didn't. I also did not expect him to score, so I'm not really upset at that. I think it actually means that he is going to hold his value, or potentially even go up to 4.1, which is better for me, so that's fine. Saliba, again, clean sheet. It's Arsenal. That's expected. Pedro Porro did come through from his injury that he picked up against us on the opening day of the season. And this time, instead of getting a goal, he did get a clean sheet as they battered Everton 4-0. Diogo Jota involved in another goal against Brentford. So even though I don't have Salah and I'm missing out on some points there, at least I've chosen a good player from Liverpool that is getting the minutes and getting the goal involvements. Luis Diaz had a great game, but I was always going to have Jota over him. Bruno Fernandes, slightly robbed of an assist because of Xerxes sliding and unfortunately getting in the way of Garnacho's shot. That was just a perfect pick out at the back by Bruno, and that's a shame. So 2 points for him, just not quite good enough really. And the big conversation starter, Christopher Nkunku, played 7 minutes because he played a chunk of time in midweek against Servette in their Conference League qualifier, first leg. So I knew coming into this game that he probably wasn't going to play that much. I thought he'd play more than 7 minutes though. Multiple other subs coming on before him, including João Felix and Pedro Neto, is not a good look, even Dewsbury Hall. So Nkunku, I think it's time. Well, it is time. Spoiler alert. Ødegaard, again, sadly, frustrating. Because I watched this game, and he is seemingly... he's being the pre-assister. So he is picking out a wonderful pass through to someone like Saka, but then Saka's cutting it back across, and the goal is happening. If the forwards were being a little bit more selfish, then maybe Ødegaard would have got an assist or two. But no. So 2 points for him is disappointing considering his value. Whereas Amad Diallo is wonderful value. A goal here today. Fantastic by him. Man United did lose, but it's fine. I don't care about the result. I care about the points. Unfortunately, he did get himself booked, and it was a really poor challenge to get himself booked, like on the edge of their own box. I don't know what he was thinking. So that's a shame to get the -1. But for 5 mil, he is looking very, very good. It's basically him and Rodgers for that amount, isn't it? You did have Oscar Bob going into the season. He got that injury, which made me switch to Diallo. And so far, I am very glad that I have. They do have Liverpool next, though, which is not ideal. And then the front two, Alexander Isak, disappointing so far. Newcastle have just not been great. He did get the assist in the first game, but in the second one, they draw 1-1, and it just wasn't clicking for him. There were moments where he was trying to dribble and miscontrolling it. There was one where he had a good chance to burst into the box, and it sort of like hit his heel as he tried to take it in his stride. It just isn't working yet, but I love him. He's an unbelievable player, and I have to give him at least one more game week. They do have Spurs, then they have Wolves, Fulham. We scored against Fulham, so I think that he deserves this chance to continue, and if he keeps blanking, then I'm not entirely sure where I'll pivot to. Maybe Havertz, because he's playing, Jesus is injured, and unless Arsenal go out and sign a proper out-and-out number 9, it looks like Havertz is going to be that guy. So maybe we get another Arsenal asset in. But Isak for now, I'm okay with it. Mainly because Ollie Watkins also isn't really doing anything. He actually had 2 really, really bad chances that he failed to score. So it means it's not as bad. Haaland, I did not risk the triple captain. A lot of people did, but I couldn't bring myself to do it, sadly. We still do get the 17-point haul, obviously, as captain goes up to 34, the hat-trick, the 3 bonus. But it's Haaland. There are definitely going to be other games this season where he scores a hat-trick, barring some kind of crazy big injury. So I'm not that upset about it. He has crazily gone up in price, though. So starting the season as the most expensive FPL asset ever at 15 mil, he has gone up, which is madness. I mean, 222,000 people brought him in after he only got 1 goal against Chelsea, which is interesting that you wouldn't have him and would then bring him in because of 1 goal. Like, fair enough, the crazy amount of people that are going to bring him in after this Ipswich performance is going to be ridiculous, which is why he's gone up to 15.1. Clearly, there's been a chunk of people. But if you do not have him in your team, or did not, now it's even harder to do so. So, yeah, crazy by Haaland. Let's quickly have a little look at the league. So, wow, huge 121-point haul for Silent Gamer to take them top of the league. Comfortably top of the league as well. It is only 2 game weeks, but that's crazy. Triple captain, yes, of course, on Haaland. Had Romero, Raya, 10 points. That's huge. Pedro Porro, Salah, Gordon, Ahmad, triple captain Haaland, and Danny Welbeck. Wow. I mean, fair play. They are 31st in the world right now. And they're top of my league. Fair play. I mean, I don't know how long you'll last that high. Obviously, triple captain already gone, but unbelievable performance. Fair play. So, now we go into... Oh yeah, I got 72 points as well. Just above average, which is fine. I'm happy with that. It could have been a lot worse. For the first time in a very, very long time, I have already made transfers. I never do this because I'm always scared of risking being that guy who instantly transfers someone in after a game week and then that player gets injured before the next match. Something ridiculous like that. However, price changes are a big thing at the start of the year. If you haven't managed to get somebody in because you are umming and ahhing over it, then you sometimes have 1 or 2 game weeks where their price will stay the same and you can swap around your team and get that player in. Whereas if you're leaving it, like 4 game weeks, good luck. Because the good players are going to have potentially gone up by 0.2 and your guys who are underperforming may have dropped 0.1, 0.2. Suddenly, you've got either half a mil or a mil less in your budget. It's really, really problematic. So, I have made 3 transfers and I now have 0.5 mil in the bank. So, I don't know exactly what I will do with that. But that is next week's problem, okay? Depending on how people perform and everything like that. As I said before, we also potentially have the option of maybe getting in Havertz if I decide to go down this route. They do have Spurs and Man City coming up, but I feel like Man City and Arsenal are the only 2 teams in the league where fixtures genuinely don't matter. Right? Obviously, in terms of a captaincy, you would rather captain him at home against Leicester or Southampton than away at Man City. But these teams are battling for the league title. You have to assume that in every single game they're going to go and score against whoever it is. So we'll see how that goes. But what did I do as my transfers? So I have here, so 3 transfers. I spent 4 mil. So my squad value 99.8 and I have 0.5 in the bank. So I have gained 0.3 mil so far, which is good. So my transfer history is, as you can see right here. I took out Bruno, Ødegaard and Nkunku. The reason being, Ødegaard, as I said, he's being too much of a pre-assister rather than getting the actual assists. The goal involvements, it feels like he needs to just be involved more right in and around the box than he currently is. And so Saka, he is being that guy. Already this season, 3 goal involvements and assist the other day, and a goal and assist on the opening day. Of course, has those fixtures that we just looked at. Brighton at home could be okay for him. So I really, really wanted to get Saka in for that reason compared to Ødegaard. Bruno Fernandes had to go in order for me to make the cash to go from Ødegaard up to Saka. We needed to make 1.5 mil. Fortunately, I took out Nkunku for Madueke. He is 6.5 mil, but he had gone down to 6.4, and I brought him in last night, so therefore I've gained back that price, and I got him for the slightly cheaper price, which is good, because I did bring in Matoma, who is 6.6. So I did manage to bring them in as if they were both 6.5, and now we've got that extra 0.1 gained on that Madueke transfer. So that is why I acted early, which I don't normally do. Also, has Saka gone up? He's not yet, but he could very easily go up to 10.1 mil as well. So I'm happy now that I've got 0.5 mil in the bank with a couple of transfers. Bruno to Matoma is a downgrade in terms of the player quality and the team, but Brighton have started the season really, really well. And he's got a goal involvement in both games. Yes, they do have Arsenal in their next one, but then they have Ipswich and Forest. So 2 really good fixtures right there coming up for him. I do have Ahmad, so I do already have a Man United representative in the team. So that's why I didn't feel as bad by getting rid of Bruno, because we still do have one of their forwards in there. Saka is an upgrade, and Madueke, it feels like, is going to get more minutes. I know that this is maybe a bit of like a hypey bandwagon kind of signing, which I don't normally like doing based on one game. However, I did a video on this channel maybe like a month, 2 months ago, whenever Enzo joined Chelsea. I set out how I think Chelsea will start. And I said, for me, I would have Cole Palmer as one of the inside 10s and Madueke on the right, because he fits exactly what Enzo wants in a winger. So, in my head, I thought that he could be good this season, but I didn't know whether Enzo would actually start him. Nkunku just seemed like ridiculously good value because he could play either as the inside 10 or up front. However, his minutes are all over the place so far, and he's not getting those goal involvements. So, as much as I love Nkunku, it feels like getting on the hype train of Madueke before he went up in price and before Nkunku drops in price was important. And Maresca has come out and said that after the game, the hat-trick that he scored, that it's the kind of winger that he loves. It's why he loved Mavididi and Fatawu when he was with us last season, was because they attack their fullback. And Madueke is not afraid to get at that fullback. So him and Cole Palmer's link-up was ridiculous. I can't afford Cole Palmer. If I wanted to get him, then I wouldn't have been able to go for Saka. So I'm hoping that Madueke basically locks down that right wing position in the team. And if that is going to be the case, then we've got a really, really good player in there. And maybe you'd get the same on the other side. Once Pedro Neto is fully fit, surely he's going to be starting over Mudryk, who, I mean, Enzo said he was disappointed in him. He subbed him off. So he's not going to be starting. Is João Felix going to potentially start up front or on the left, though? Don't know. This position feels a little bit more of a lock, hopefully. So whilst it is a bit of a risk, I don't hate it, because I feel like so many people are going to have made this transfer that I needed to jump on just in case. I will also very quickly check, did we make a great decision in the timing for both his price rise, but did... Nkunku did fall to 6.4. So, yeah, I basically saved myself 0.2 mil by making that transfer last night instead of waiting and doing it on Friday. So, as I said earlier, I don't like doing early transfers. I think it's way too risky. But when it's so early in the season, that 0.2 mil is such a big swing in terms of who it then locks you out of being able to afford, that I think that it was a worthy risk. Dominic Solanke still flagged. I'm really, really hoping that he plays this next game, because then we have the international break. Newcastle haven't been incredible so far. He could easily get a goal involvement against them, and then we reassess for Arsenal at home after the international break. So that is how things are. We have our 0.5 mil. We're looking okay. I like the team, and hopefully it can perform again next week. Let me know in the comments what you have done to yours. Have you made early transfers as well? Or are you not risking that and you're waiting until Friday for injury news and stuff like that? We'll see you again for another video very soon, in a bit.